For 3 years, I believe my boyfriend was a Navy trauma surgeon, always deployed, always unavailable, but calling me every single day. I was ready to surprise the love of my life, a decorated Navy surgeon. But what I found instead was a lie so profound, so utterly twisted, it shattered everything I thought I knew about love and trust. My entire 3-year relationship didn't just unravel. It imploded, revealing a monstrous, calculated deception. Brett and I had started dating 3 years ago, and just 2 months in, he got his deployment orders. He told me he was a trauma surgeon with the Navy, stationed overseas for most of the year. So, our relationship quickly settled into this routine of video calls and these precious, twice-yearly visits whenever he had leave. I got used to it, used to the distance, used to falling asleep with my phone propped on the pillow while we talked, used to meticulously marking calendar dates for his next stateside rotation. My friend Anna, though, she thought I was completely crazy. She was constantly pushing me to date other people, insisting that long distance never worked. But I just brush her off. Brett was worth waiting for. He called me every single day, sent these thoughtful care packages with little handwritten notes tucked inside, and he remembered every single detail I mentioned about my life. When we did finally see each other, everything just felt right. Then, last month, Brett casually mentioned he'd be in San Diego for 3 weeks of training before his next deployment. He said the schedule would be absolutely brutal, 14-hour days, and he even suggested we skip this visit to save money for a longer, more elaborate trip in December. But 3 weeks felt too close to pass up. I missed him so much. I wanted to surprise him. So, I bought a plane ticket without telling him a word and excitedly texted Anna my plans. She called me immediately, sounding a little frantic. "Are you just showing up unannounced?" she asked. "What if he's busy?" I explained it was a surprise. I'd take him to dinner, and we'd have the evening together. Anna went quiet for a moment, and then she brought up something she'd seen online about military romance scams. She quickly added that she wasn't saying Brett was lying, but still. I told her, "Anna, I met him in person twice." She backed down, but I could still hear the doubt creeping into her voice. The flight to San Diego felt endless. I kept checking my phone, resisting the urge to text Brett, desperate to keep the surprise intact. He'd mentioned staying on base during training, and I figured I could either get visitor access or at least have someone deliver a message to him. When we landed, I grabbed a cab straight to the naval base. The visitor control center was way smaller than I expected, just a security checkpoint with this bored-looking clerk behind plexiglass. I walked up and explained I was there to see Lieutenant Brett Rodas, that he was doing surgical training this month. She typed something into her computer, her fingers clicking. After a moment, she frowned and typed again. Then she looked up at me with an expression I just couldn't quite read. "Ma'am," she said flatly, "we have no record of an officer by that name." My mind went absolutely blank for a second. "Are you sure?" I stammered. "Brett Rodas, trauma surgeon. He said he'd be here for 3 weeks." She checked again, shaking her head. She'd searched active duty, reserves, everything. Nothing. "Could he be at a different base?" she asked. I insisted he'd specifically said San Diego. I pulled out my phone to show her our text conversation, explaining he'd been deployed for almost 3 years. She finally told me she'd get her supervisor. While I waited, another clerk walked past, an MP with sergeant stripes.